I'm continuing with you guys our garden series all about insert specific vegetable, and today we are talking about growing peppers. Peppers are one plant that does very well here in our Texas garden. We do them every single year, and growing peppers basically boils down to 4 fundamentals. If you nail down these fundamentals, then you will have healthy, strong, high producing plants. So the first fundamental is ideal light conditions. These are warmth and sun-loving plants. So they're going to need full sun. 6 to 8 hour window is ideal. Now, if you're somewhere like me, where I'm in Texas, the heat and the sun can be pretty brutal and will be here coming soon. Temps sitting around mid-high 90s. So these are definitely going to need shade at some point. So whether your placement of it is strategic in your yard to where it'll be naturally shaded out at some point, you're definitely going to need a shade cloth. I always use a shade cloth. They sit around come 2-ish o'clock, something like that. These are going to be shaded out underneath a 40% shade cloth. The second fundamental is it having a large root zone capacity. So these plants need the space, they need enough soil volume to grow that underground system of roots that's going to help anchor the plant, absorb water and nutrients, store energy, and regulate the stress of heat and drought. So basically, it needs the space to be able to grow a healthy root system, which is going to directly tie into the hot topic of pruning your pepper plants and topping them in order to increase biomass or your yield. But removing fruit potential will never ever give you a higher yield. Plant biology doesn't support it. These are fallacies that are regurgitated within the gardening community. You have to understand that your plant is not going to do anything that it cannot support, and that's just plant facts. If it can't support a bloom, it's not going to bloom. If it can't support fruit, it's not going to fruit. Just like how you won't get vegetative growth or it growing in size if it doesn't have the nutrients required to support that. So there's no such thing as stress fruiting or the plant being too small to produce fruit. What people fail to realize is that under the right conditions, when you nail these fundamentals down, these will grow extremely fast. And if you look in here, these plants will produce fruit. They should be, if you are doing things right, at every single node. So you look in here and you'll see it's producing a fruit right here, and then we jump up, here's another node, it's producing, here's another node, it's producing, node, it's producing, jump up, it's branched here, producing, another node, producing. So it's going to produce at every single node. So if you topped your pepper plants and went on to produce a lot of fruit, congratulations, you nailed down the fundamentals. It was not because you topped it. You will never get higher yield out of removing fruit potential. The third important fundamental is nutrients, and that is having enough nutrients present for your plant. Peppers are heavy feeders, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they need constant heavy feeding, but what it means is they need a steady, balanced supply of nutrients for the plant, especially so if you're growing in a container or grow bag like I am. There's a much smaller soil volume, which means it can be used up a lot quicker. Also, when you water, there is runoff, which means it can leach nutrients. So these will especially benefit from regular feeding if you're growing in a grow bag or a container. But either way, whether you're doing that or growing in ground, these are going to benefit from regular feeding. This year, this is what I'm using. I love the Happy Frog line of things. I prefer to use something organic. The NPK value of this is 493. I've seen pretty good results with it. Last year I used the other Happy Frog one, which is a little more down, it's a little more gentler. I may switch to something different, I don't know, we'll see. But so far this is what I'm using. I've used the other one in the past and I've had great results with it. And the fourth key fundamental for these is stable temperatures. These are warm season tropical plants, so they've evolved in areas where the days are warm and they steadily stay warm, nights don't get cold, and the soil stays consistently warm. So yes, these are heat loving, drought tolerant plants, but they're also stress sensitive. So once temperatures start to get past the 95-degree mark, is when you might start to see some issues with flowering and fruiting in these plants. And it ties back into what I said, is that these are going to benefit from some kind of shade when we start to exceed those temperatures, which we in no time will here in Texas. We're getting a little too cooked by the sun, or we're experiencing this yo-yo like weather that we are right now, where it was like warm not too long ago and then all of a sudden we got all this rain and it dipped down into the 50s. You're going to start experiencing flower drop, fruit drop. It's not going to be successfully pollinated pollinating. So when you are able to have those consistent warm temperatures is when you're going to start to see steady, abundant production for your pepper plant. And then when it comes to watering these, they're gonna want consistent moisture. Now, consistent moisture does not mean you're watering every single day. You should not be watering every single day. Your goal should be to water deeply. Now, these want moisture, but they don't want wet feet, the roots sitting like in a swamp, and it doesn't want the swings of really dry to really wet. That's also going to cause plant stress, and these are stress sensitive, which can ultimately affect your flowering and fruiting. So having a moisture retentive but also well draining soil mix is going to be best for these. I put these in the Fox Farm salamander soil, and I really like this. It contains cocoa coir in it, which has really helped hold on to some moisture. These don't dry out as fast. I've also added compost into these, which also helps with moisture retention. And then you want to let it have a dry down period where it dries out a little bit, not to dust, but let it dry out a little bit, and then water it again. If you nail down those fundamentals, you will have a successful pepper growing season.